The Antigravity and OpenCode combo is a complete cheat code. And in this video, I will show you exactly why that is the case and how you can use it. First, I will walk you through how to set up and use OpenCode inside Antigravity's interface. Then I will show you why the setup is so powerful and how combining the two platforms allows you to get the best of both worlds. OpenCode for precise code editing, execution, and broad model selection, and Antigravity for its advanced planning and agentic capabilities. This way, each tool is used where it performs the best, so you're not wasting valuable tokens on tasks that each one isn't optimized for. And I will show you all of that while building a full stack application similar to Excalibur, so you can see exactly how these tools work in a real project. Plus, at the end of the video, I will also show you a clever way that allows you to use all of Antigravity's models inside OpenCode completely for free. So if that sounds interesting, let's get started. But before we start building the app, I want to first explain to you why this is such a powerful combo. And that is because Antigravity is actually very good for planning, since it has access to powerful models like Claude 4.5 Sonar, which is by far the best model on the planet right now. It also has agentic capabilities, where you can basically tell it to go ahead and test out the app that it built for you. And you can also easily see your code and modify it if you're more of a technical person, while OpenCode doesn't have any of these features. But what OpenCode has is it first of all has access to free models, which is something that Antigravity simply does not have, since you're very limited. Plus OpenCode also gives you access to basically all the LLM models of the world, at least the vast majority of them. While with Antigravity, you're very limited on your selection and you can basically only select between 7 to 8 models. Plus, OpenCode is very good for writing code, since you can switch different models for different tasks, and as a bonus, it is also open source, which means that they're not going to be collecting and selling your data. So if you actually take a look at these distinct features that each one has, you can see that one complements another, since basically in the things that OpenCode doesn't do well, Antigravity is actually very good at, and in the things that OpenCode does very well, Antigravity simply doesn't have these features. So that's why combining these two tools is actually one of the best coding combos out there. So now that I explained to you why we're going to be combining these two, let's hop inside Antigravity and import OpenCode over in that instance. So as you can see, I went over to Antigravity, and what I'm going to do right now is select a brand new project. So I will simply come over here and create a brand new file that I'm going to call OpenCode, and I will simply select it, and this is going to open up our Antigravity instance. Now, in order for us to be able to use OpenCode from inside our Antigravity interface, we need to go over in the official website, which I will also leave a link for in the description below, and then we need to come over here and copy this curl command. So make sure you simply come over here and you copy it, and then you need to come back over to Antigravity, come over here and click on terminal, and click on new terminal, and what this is going to do is basically open up your terminal in your Antigravity interface. As you can see, I can make this bigger, I can make this smaller, I can basically customize this exactly as I want. So now that we open a terminal, what we need to do is to simply come over here and paste in the command that we just copied. And then you will have to come over here and click on enter. And what this is going to do is see exactly what kind of system you are using, and it's going to go ahead and install OpenCode over in your terminal. But how you can also do this is by simply coming over here to the left of the page and clicking on extensions, because OpenCode actually has extension in VS Code. So if you simply come over here and you search for OpenCode, you will be able to see the OpenCode extension, where all you have to do is to simply come over here and simply click on install. And as you can see, it is asking us if we trust this publisher. Click on trust publisher and install. And what this is going to do is basically also download Claude Code over in our terminal. So now that we successfully did that, how we can access OpenCode is by simply coming over here and typing OpenCode. And what this is going to do is it's going to open up OpenCode over here in our terminal. And boom, as you can see, it just opened it and we can access it from over here. So before we go ahead and we start building our app, let me show you some of its basic functions. Now, obviously, this is a simple chat interface where you can basically come over here and type in exactly what you wanted to build, and how you can see all the available commands. You simply have to come over here and type in slash, which is going to open up this section over here, where you can basically come over here and select out of all these options. Now, an option that a lot of people really like about OpenCode is that they have access to these many models. So all you have to do is to come over here, click on models, and then this is going to take you over here in the model section, where you can basically come over here and select from all these different models over here. As you can see, I can select Gemini, and I can select a bunch of other models as well. So if I actually make this bigger so you guys can see better, and as you can see, we have access to a bunch of different models from a bunch of different providers. And if you want to see all the providers that are available, make sure you actually come on your keyboard and you press on Ctrl A or Command A on Mac, and you will be able to see all the available providers. But as you can see, they are basically all the popular LLM models that exist. For now, we'll simply come over here and select one of the free models, which is Grow Code Fast, because we're not going to use OpenCode right now, since we're inside Antigravity, and as I said before, Antigravity is best at planning out all the stages that we then need to go ahead and follow in order for us to be able to build that app. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to leave OpenCode over here to the side for a bit, and we're going to come over here in our Antigravity agent, because inside our Antigravity agent, what we can do is access the most powerful LLM models completely for free. There are obviously limits to them, but your limits actually reset every single month. And what I'm going to do is I will come over here and use the Claude Opus 4.5 thinking model, because that is by far the best thinking and planning model when it comes to building full stack apps. And it's a model that we don't actually have access inside OpenCode, since Anthropic banned their models from OpenCode, and there has been basically a whole drama there. But just so you understand what happened, Anthropic said, hey, we don't want you to use the Claude models inside OpenCode because we want you to use them inside Claude Code, and they basically banned them from OpenCode, and then that created a whole backlash, and that's why OpenCode became this popular. But we don't actually care about this restriction, since we can access it from inside our Antigravity instance. Now that we have selected our model, and we also need to come over here and make sure we're in the planning mode, we can finally come over here and explain to the AI exactly what app we want to build. Now for this video, I want to build an Excalibur clone, which is basically a whiteboard app in which you're able to draw circles, to draw different shapes, etc, etc. You can basically think of it as a digital whiteboard. So what I'm going to do is I will come over here and say, hey, I want to build an app similar to Excalibur. So what I want you to do is to go ahead and create me a detailed plan for exactly how I can go ahead and build this app. I want to be able to draw shapes in the app, circles, and also use arrows, and also type in text exactly as I'm able to do in Excalibur. And now what I'm simply going to tell it is go ahead and create me a plan for exactly how you can go ahead and build this app, and put it inside a folder that you create that's going to be called plan.md. And now I will simply come over here and send over this prompt. So now Antigravity is going to go and use the most powerful model that we have for planning, which is Claude 4.5 Sonnet, and create us a folder which will basically include the full plan for exactly how we can go ahead and build our app. And boom, as you can see, Claude just finished creating the plan. And if I actually make my terminal smaller, we can actually take a look at the plan over here. And it basically specifies everything: how the shape drawing is going to work, how the arrow tool, how the text tool, also the tech stack that we're going to have to use to build this app, and also it specifies the full project structure over here. And you can see how this is a fully detailed implementation plan that Antigravity managed to generate with the most powerful LLM model, which is Claude 4.5 Opus. So now that we have this plan, what we're now going to do is we're going to open up again OpenCode over here, where we have it in our terminal, and what we're basically going to do is to tell it to take a look at the folder that was just generated with Antigravity, to then go ahead and implement this plan for us, basically building out the full app. Now the first thing that I want to do is to actually change my model, because I don't want to use a free model, and I want to use a more powerful paid model, and specifically I want to use a Gemini 3 model, and that is because Gemini 3 is the best at building nice looking front-end UIs. That's why I want to use it inside OpenCode. So how I'm going to be able to find it is by coming over here and searching for Gemini, and then I will simply come over here and select the Gemini 3 Pro preview model. And as you can see right now, we can use this from inside the Gemini CLI. So what I'm now going to do is I will come over here and say, hey, inside our project, there is a file that is called plan.md, which basically includes the plan for an Excalibur clone that I want to build. So what I want you to do is to go ahead, take a look at the plan and start coding the app for me exactly based on that plan. And now you're seeing this as a pasted line, and that is because I use a text-to-speech tool, but what this basically is the text that I just spoke into my microphone. And if you want, you can also come over here, add, and tag the file that was just generated, but we don't really need to do that since OpenCode is smart enough to recognize that this is the file that we want. So now that I basically said that, I will simply come over here and send over this request. But as you can see, OpenCode is not currently running because it is missing our Gemini API key. So to input our API key, what we have to do is to come over here, type in / and then click on connect provider, and then what we need to do is to find Google and simply click on it, and then this interface is going to pop up. Now in your interface, it is not going to say auth with Google Antigravity, because that is something that I will show you how to do at the end of the video, where you will basically be able to use the Antigravity models from inside OpenCode. For you, it will only say manually enter API key. So make sure you select that option, and then what you need to do is to come over here and input your Gemini API key, which you can find by going over to ai.google.com/API keys, then simply create a brand new API key, and once you do that, simply come over here and copy it, and then you can come back over to Antigravity, paste in your API key, and click on enter. And now we successfully managed to connect Gemini. So simply select the model and come over here and click on build it. And now, as you can see, Gemini has started to reading the plan.md folder, as we can see over here, and right now it is basically analyzing it, and it's going to go ahead and build the app for us. But what I really like about OpenCode is that you can also see your usage over here. We can see how much of our context window we are using and the exact cost of our request. As you can see, I right now have spent 2 cents. And as you can see, he's already started building this app for us, and it's telling us that if we press Ctrl and X, we will be able to see the full plan that it is going and executing, as we can see over here. And as you can see, it already created some files over here in our OpenCode directory. And right now, it is going ahead and installing all the necessary dependencies like next.js, React, etc, etc. And if we actually want to see exactly what it's doing, you can simply come over here and click. And what this is going to do is basically expand the section so we can see exactly what it is doing. And boom, as you can see, OpenCode just successfully finished building our app for us. As it says over here, I've successfully built the Excalibur clone with all the requested features. Over here it has a brief overview of the features. Over here it tells us how we can run the app. Plus over here, we can see exactly how many tokens we used, the percentage of the context window, and also how much this cost us, which was 0.22 cents. So now to run the app, I will simply come over here and open up a brand new terminal, and I will come back over to the previous one. I will simply copy these commands, and I will come over here and run npm run dev, which is going to start my app, where I will be able to come over here and access it from my localhost URL. And boom, as you can see, the app does open up in my localhost URL, where I'm able to use it from over here, and as you can see, this is exactly like Excalibur. So now if we want, we can come back over to OpenCode and make any improvements to our app or any changes that we might want. Plus, we can also come over here and change the model. Let's say, for example, we want to use ChatGPT, we could come over here and select models, and then if I click on Ctrl A to search for the provider, I could come over here and select OpenAI, where as you can see, we have 2 different options. We can either manually come over here and enter our OpenAI API key, or we can come over here and use a ChatGPT Pro subscription, since OpenCode actually partnered with OpenAI to allow us to do that. So just to show you how you can actually connect this, you simply come over here and you select ChatGPT Pro Plus, and then this is going to give you this link over here, where all you have to do is to come over here and click on it, and this is going to take you to the auth page, where you need to come over here and sign in with your OpenAI account, which is exactly what I'm going to do right now. And now, as you can see, it is telling us that we need to give it access, so I will simply come over here and click on continue, and boom, our authorization was successful, and we can close this window and return back over to OpenCode. And boom, as you can see, immediately when I return back over to OpenCode, my OpenAI instance has been successfully connected, and I can come over here and select any of the OpenAI models that I want. Let's say, for example, we want to use GPT 5.2 codex, and if I actually send over a request, let's say, for example, we want to build an AI feature into our app. So if I come over here and say, I want you to go ahead and build me an AI feature into my app, and I send this over, first it is going to ask some questions, obviously. Let's say we want to build a summarization bot. And now this is going to go ahead and start building this chatbot for us. But as you can see over here in the cost, it says 0, and that is because we're using our OpenAI subscription to build this feature, and we're not using the OpenAI API key, which means that we can literally code for a decent amount without us having to pay anything. And what I really love about OpenCode is that while we're building this feature, let's say we thought of another feature, we can simply come over here, open up a brand new terminal, type in OpenCode again, which is going to open up a brand new instance of OpenCode where we can come over here and build in a brand new feature as well. Let's say we wanted, for example, our app to also have a dark mode. We could come over here and say, hey, make sure you go ahead and implement dark mode into our app. And I would come over here and click on enter. And now we literally have two OpenCode instances running simultaneously, building different features. And we can do that with another instance if we want, which basically means that we can have a bunch of OpenCode instances running simultaneously and building features of our app for us. And while OpenCode is making these two changes into our app, what I want to show you is another super useful feature that they have, which you can access by clicking on / and then coming over here and selecting review. Because what you can do with this feature is you can basically then open code to go and scan all the code of your app and tell you if there are any bugs to it, if there's anything that you need to go ahead and fix, which is super useful, especially when you're building full stack complicated apps. But another very useful thing that you can do is create some rules in your project and basically tell OpenCode to always go ahead and follow these rules. So what you can do is either come over here and manually create a brand new file and input your rules inside that file, or you can simply come over here and then OpenCode to go and do that for you. For example, you could come over here and say, hey, I want you to act as a professional coding agent every single time. So what I want you to do is to go ahead and create me a brand new file in the project with detailed instructions for exactly how you can go ahead and do that to write the most optimal code. And then you can simply come over here and send this over. And now OpenCode is going to go and create these detailed instructions that you will then be able to come over here in this chat and tag by clicking on add and then selecting the specific folder. And every time you do that, it is going to go ahead and follow these instructions, which will save you the hassle of you having to type them in every single time. And as you can see, OpenCode just finished doing that over here. It created this optimal code guide, which if I actually click on and I make my terminal a little bit smaller so I can take a look at them, we can see the exact detailed instructions that we can always now come over here and reference by coming over here, clicking on add, and then selecting that specific folder. And as you can see, if I go over in my other OpenCode instances, they all finished making the changes. As you can see over here, this implemented the AI section, and this one also created a dark mode for our app. And boom, as you can see, if I open up the app in my localhost URL, we can see the brand new summary section over here and also our AI assistant section underneath it, which is exactly what we wanted. And the last thing that I want to show you before I show you how you can use the most powerful AI models inside OpenCode completely for free is the fact that OpenCode also has access to MCP servers. So as you can see, if I type in /MCP, this tab is going to pop up where I can come over here and select the specific MCP server that I want to use. Obviously, there is nothing inside here because I haven't added any MCP servers. But if you wanted to add an MCP server, you will simply have to go over to that website, copy the MCP snippet of code, give it over to OpenCode to go ahead and add the MCP for you, and then you will be able to select it from over here. And now it's the time where I will show you exactly how you can use all the powerful anti-gravity models, which include Clore Opus, which can be banned inside OpenCode via using a very clever trick. And that is by going over to this GitHub repo, which is the OpenCode anti-gravity auth, which I will also leave a link for in the description below, and then simply navigating over here in the bottom of the section where you will be able to see the short command. Now I do want to point one thing out, and as you can see, it also says it in the GitHub repo, that there is a risk of violating Google's terms of service and up in your Google account being banned. So use this at your own risk if you want. I'm personally not using this when I'm coding, but if you want to do this completely for free and you want to take this risk, you can do it by simply coming over here and copying this instruction and then simply coming over here to OpenCode, pasting it in and clicking on enter. And what this is going to do is OpenCode is basically going to go and perform some things in the background and allow you to log in with your Google account, where you will then be able to access all of these models completely for free. But what this is basically going to do is give you a link to sign in into your Google account and then you will be able to use these models. But again, I don't actually advise you to do it because I do think there is a possibility of infringing on Google's terms of service, which could lead to your account being shadow banned or fully banned. So just use this at your own risk. I just wanted to show you how many people have managed to do that. So that is exactly how you can use OpenCode inside Antigravity and how you can build a functioning app with it. But if you want to take this a step even further and learn how you can build your own full AI SaaS, make sure you click the top link in my description and you come and check out my school community, in which I recently launched my 30-day SaaS roadmap, where I basically show you how you can find the idea of your SaaS and also how you can build it and deploy it in just 30 days. Plus, in the last 20 days, I also show you how you can get your first paying customers. So if you would be interested in that, along with getting access to a lot more content, specifically about building your own AI and automation agency in 90 days, and also my high-level strategy about getting paying users into your AI SaaS, plus my Build a $1 million SaaS series, in which I show you the process of me building my own AI SaaS, and I document it exclusively inside the community. So if you want to get access to all of this content, along with a community of more than 140 members that are interested in AI and most importantly, making money with it, just like you are, make sure you click the top link in my description and you come and check out my school community. And I will be waiting to personally help you build your own AI SaaS immediately when you join. But also YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this video, in which I built a full stack app using just Antigravity and Gemini 3. So make sure you go and watch that next. And I will see you over there.